"You're fired!" the millionaire shouted, unaware that she is the new infiltrated billionaire owner. A ruthless executive fires a quiet analyst for refusing to commit fraud. But moments later, the truth explodes. She's the billionaire owner who secretly bought the company. As the power shifts, corruption is exposed, careers collapse, and justice finally walks through the boardroom doors. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, what time is it and where are you watching from? Let's start. You're fired. Pack your pathetic little desk and get out of my building. Victor's voice cracked like a whip across the concrete courtyard, echoing off the towering glass facade of the corporate headquarters. He was 35. His face flushed a violent, ugly shade of crimson. The veins in his neck strained against the collar of his crisp white shirt, his expensive black suit pulling tight across his shoulders as he leaned forward, jabbing a trembling finger just inches from her face. Elena did not flinch. At 28, standing tall in a bright red blouse that defied the drab corporate sea around them, she looked entirely serene. Her long, wavy brown and blonde hair caught the morning breeze. A delicate silver cross rested against her collarbone, a quiet symbol of the faith and resilience that had carried her through years of hardship. She looked at the screaming millionaire not with fear, but with a profound, heartbreaking pity. Behind Victor stood 4 of his senior directors, 3 men and 1 woman, all dressed in immaculate dark corporate attire, their ages ranging from late 20s to mid-40s. They weren't turning away in discomfort. They were laughing. Broad, cruel smirks painted their faces. The woman chuckled into her hand while the men exchanged amused glances, thoroughly entertained by the public execution of a low-level data analyst's career. "Did you really think?" Victor sneered, his voice dropping to a vicious, mocking whisper, "that a nobody like you could walk into my boardroom and tell me how to run my division? You are nothing. You are a spreadsheet monkey who couldn't even follow a simple instruction." "The instruction wasn't simple, Victor," Elena replied, her voice soft, melodic, but lined with an unbreakable steel. "It was illegal. It was deeply, fundamentally wrong." "Wrong?" Victor threw his head back and let out a harsh, barking laugh, prompting another wave of snickers from his sycophants behind him. "Business isn't about right or wrong, little girl. It's about winning. It's about the bottom line." "It was a structural safety report," Elena said, her eyes locking onto his, refusing to let him look away. "You asked me to alter the foundational stress tests on the new downtown housing project. You wanted me to erase the data showing the concrete supports would fail under extreme pressure. You wanted to save $5 million on materials by risking the lives of 300 families who will move into those affordable housing units. I won't do it. I won't put blood on my hands for your quarterly bonus." The laughter behind Victor faded slightly, replaced by nervous shifting, but Victor only grew more enraged. "You self-righteous, arrogant little—" Victor stepped closer, attempting to use his height to intimidate her. "I am a millionaire. I bring in $50 million a year to this firm. Do you know what you are? You are replaceable. You are a temporary hire wearing a cheap red shirt and a tiny little cross, pretending you have the moral high ground when you can barely afford rent. I told you to change the numbers. You refused. That is blatant insubordination." "It is integrity," Elena corrected gently, "something this company clearly lost a long time ago." "Integrity doesn't pay the bills," yelled the older man standing behind Victor, a senior vice president. Victor, is trying to save this sinking company, and you're crying over theoretical math." Elena shifted her steady gaze to the four onlookers. "The company is sinking because of choices exactly like this, because you prioritize short-term wealth over human life. You laugh now, but there is no joy in building an empire on top of broken foundations. It rots from the inside out." Victor scoffed, waving his hand dismissively. "Save the sermon. You're done. You're finished in this industry. I will personally make sure you never work in corporate finance again. I will ruin your name. Now get out of my sight before I have security drag you out." Elena stood silent for a long moment. The heartbreak she felt wasn't for herself. It was for the absolute moral decay standing in front of her. She looked at Victor, truly looking at the hollow, desperate greed in his eyes. "You're right about one thing, Victor," Elena said, her voice dropping to a quiet, resonant register that commanded the space instantly. "This company is sinking. The stock has plummeted 40% in 2 years. The board is in a panic. The culture is toxic, and the turnover rate is astronomical. I knew all of that before I started working here." "Then why did you take the job?" Victor mocked, crossing his arms. "Desperation?" "No," Elena said softly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her standard-issue employee badge. She didn't throw it at him. She merely held it up. "Observation." Victor frowned, confusion momentarily breaking through his anger. "What are you talking about?" Elena let the badge drop to the concrete. "I didn't take a job here, Victor. I took a tour." The young woman in the back stopped smiling completely. The executives exchanged bewildered looks. "7 years ago," Elena began, her tone shifting from a humble employee to a woman of undeniable authority. "I was a waitress working double shifts to pay for night school. I pitched a software algorithm to a venture capital firm. They laughed at me. They told me I didn't fit the profile of a tech founder. So I built it myself.
Just keep going.
I coded in my tiny apartment until my fingers bled. I built Vanguard data systems. I took it public 3 years ago. 2 weeks ago, I sold my remaining equity for $2.4 billion. Victor's face went pale. The blood drained from his cheek so fast, he looked physically ill. My name isn't Elena Jones, she said, her voice filled with a quiet, steady power. My name is Elena Whitmore, and as of 9 o'clock yesterday morning, my holding company purchased a 68% controlling stake in this firm. I didn't come here to work for you, Victor. I came undercover to see exactly why my new investment was bleeding money. Total suffocating silence descended on the courtyard. The 4 executives behind Victor stood paralyzed, the smug smiles completely wiped from their faces, replaced by an ashen, breathless terror. I wanted to see the rot for myself, Elena continued, her eyes sweeping over the group. I wanted to see how the people at the bottom were treated by the people at the top. And what I found was you, a man who would risk hundreds of lives to pad his own pockets, and a management team that stands by and laughs while he bullies his subordinates. Victor opened his mouth, but no sound came out. His throat worked silently. His hands, which had been balled into aggressive fists moments ago, were now trembling at his sides. "Ms. Whitmore," the older VP stammered, stepping forward, his voice cracking with desperation. We didn't know. The structural report, we can review it. We can absolutely look at the math again." "Stop," Elena said, holding up a single hand. "Do not insult my intelligence by pretending you care now. You were laughing 3 minutes ago. You enjoyed the cruelty. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. She turned her full attention back to Victor. He looked small now. The arrogant millionaire was shrinking under the gaze of a self-made billionaire. You threatened to ruin my name, Elena said, her voice laced with a tragic sort of disappointment. You threatened to make sure I never worked again, all because I refused to lie for you. You are a small, frightened man, Victor. You use anger to hide your incompetence, and you use your title to abuse people who you think can't fight back. Elena, please, Victor whispered, the fight completely gone from him. I have a family, I have mortgages. You can't just... I can, Elena interrupted softly, and I will, but not out of vengeance, out of necessity. I am healing this company, and a wound cannot heal until the infection is removed. She took a step closer to him. You're fired, Victor, she said, effective immediately. You will not pack your desk. Security will mail your personal belongings to your home. You are to leave the premises right now. And if you ever attempt to contact any employee of this firm again, my lawyers will bury you so deep in litigation you won't see daylight. Victor stumbled backward. He looked at his colleagues for support, but the four executives took synchronized steps away from him, abandoning him in an instant to save themselves. Elena noticed the movement and turned her gaze to them. Don't bother stepping away. You are all terminated as well. Complicity is just as dangerous as the act itself. Hand your badges to the front desk on your way out. But the woman in the suit cried. Now, Elena commanded. The four executives walked silently back toward the building. Victor stood rooted to the spot for a moment longer, staring at the woman in the red shirt. The woman he thought was nothing. The woman who now owned his entire world. Without another word, he turned and walked away into the city. Elena stood alone in the courtyard for a moment. She reached up and gently touched the silver cross at her neck. The anger and tension slowly drained from her shoulders. She walked into the building where dozens of anxious employees had watched the entire ordeal through the windows. Elena offered them a warm smile. Good morning, everyone. My name is Elena Whitmore. I know things have been very dark here for a long time. I know you've been undervalued, overworked, and disrespected. She looked around the room. That ends today. We are going to rebuild this company, not with fear, not with fraud, but with honesty. We are going to protect the people we build for, and we are going to protect each other. Your jobs are safe. Your voices will be heard. A quiet applause began in the back of the room, slowly growing until the entire floor was clapping. Elena took a deep breath. Now, she smiled. Let's get to work. In the days after the confrontation, Victor's reputation collapsed. Word of the incident and the falsified safety report spread across the industry. Recruiters stopped returning his calls, and an internal investigation began reviewing his decisions and emails. The man who once commanded boardrooms now spent his days isolated, watching his career disappear. The four executives who laughed behind him faced the same fate. Terminated for complicity, they struggled to find work as companies quietly avoided hiring anyone connected to the scandal. Their moment of cruelty in the courtyard became the reason their careers unraveled.